Golf season is quickly approaching, and Chevy wants to help you make the most of every single drive. The all-electric Equinox EV has it all, as does this show. It is myself and Trent, and we go through all kinds of great stuff. We begin with just a lot of patriotism, talking about USA hockey versus Canada hockey, Trent.
Yeah, we've got a great show. I, as a non-hockey guy, had some questions for Riggs about the Four Nations tournament. We go through that. We go through Ludvig's win. We talk about SNL 50. We talk about Severance. We take some voicemails. It's a packed show, really fun show, all brought to us by our friends at Chevrolet, Chevy.com. Just go take a look, put it in your web browser, hit enter, and then just start looking around. The Equinox is a beautiful, beautiful machine, the Equinox EV, but they've got a whole fleet of things that you can look at and customize. Chevy.com. Give it a look.
We've got Tiger Woods sighting, an appearance, so we kind of react to that. We've got some LIV PGA Tour talk. So again, great show. We talk about all of it, and Equinox EV has all of it. They offer a best-in-class 17.7-inch, which is huge, diagonal standard touchscreen display, offers a roomy, no compromises interior over at the Equinox EV, and head over URL-wise to Chevy.com/Equinox EV and check out all the product info, lease offers, and amazing deals. Again, USA talk right off the bat, American company, American history, Chevy.com/Equinox EV, Chevrolet, together, let's drive. Trent, this Ludvig Åberg character is a real problem for anyone that plays competitive golf that's not named Ludvig at this point.
He's tall, he's handsome, he's really good at golf, and I love him.
Fore-play, presented by Barstool Sports. We got myself and Trent Ryan. Our one Frank Borelli III is returning from London. I imagine he'll have a lot to say on the London experience on the very next podcast, so stay tuned for that one. But today you get a little bit of an OG throwback. It is just myself and Trent. We got a lot going on in the golf world. There's 4 TGL matches going on, 3 on President's Day, sort of as we're recording. Another one Tuesday night. Tiger Woods is playing. Tiger Woods was out at Torrey Pines talking about LIV, talking about his future. We've got Rory quotes on LIV. We've got Ludvig winning at Torrey Pines. We got Patrick Reed with a hilarious ace down in Australia, and we got a lot of pop culture stuff to get to as well. So yeah, here we are. Hello, Trent. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you as well. Yeah, I'm excited to hear about Frankie's London experience. His Insta stories were great. I'm trying to make a trip to London at some point this year because I've never been. We've talked about that on the show. It's one of the places that I really, really want to go to. So I'm excited to hear about that. The first thing I want to get to, and it's not golf related, which isn't going to shock anybody, but can you talk to me as a non-hockey fan about what happened in the Four Nations tournament over the weekend?
I can. A lot of people have been broaching this subject with me around Scottsdale because hockey is not the early voice crack there. I like that. Hockey is not the usually it comes out when I'm still asleep, and then I start the show emphatically with foreplay, and then it kind of cracks, and
you know what's funny about that is I have made an effort to, on podcast days, before we record usually around 11. I wake up at 8:30 or 9, whatever. I will talk to myself around the house so my voice doesn't crack when we start. Because we had this conversation like a year or two ago where it was like, especially on Tuesday shows where I don't talk to anybody over the weekend. So when I would talk on that Monday morning when we record, I haven't spoken since Friday afternoon. That has changed a little bit, but I would say I do. I really do. I walk around my place and talk because I don't want my voice to crack immediately. I want to be prepared vocally. I'm like Anchorman.
Like, it's so long since you've spoken to someone, Trent, when we record, that you've like aged and your voice might sound different, and you open your mouth to respond to something. You're like, oh shit, who the hell is that? What's that
exactly.
sound?
Exactly.
Yeah, early voice crack. So here in Scottsdale, hockey's not the biggest thing. It's getting bigger. Austin Matthews is from Scottsdale, so it's definitely getting bigger. A good amount of NHL guys retire here. So again, it's getting a little bit bigger. But desert, the Coyotes just left here. They're now the Utah Hockey Club. Hockey's not the biggest thing here, so I'm surrounded by a bunch of friends here. Whereas like back home in St. Louis, all my friends, we all grew up playing hockey together. My whole kind of network on the Northeast, because I was still playing hockey as a kid, whatever, are all hockey guys. Out here, people really aren't hockey folks. However, this game, USA-Canada, I saw Dave tweeting about it. this USA Canada game transcended sports out of nowhere on Saturday night. And a big part of it, I think, is social media. The fact that people were able to just have injected into their veins before they even knew the game was going on, that there have been 3 fights in the first 9 seconds of the game. I think everyone sort of did kind of what we try to get golf to do, which is like, they were like, what, where is this on? This is on television. I have to now watch this. Hockey with USA Canada is so unique in that the two countries just in that sport are such bitter rivals. And a lot of it goes back to from if you play hockey at a pretty high level, Trent, Canada is so close and Canada has been so dominant in hockey for so long that the two cultures and the two types of players end up blending together. Like if you look at a lot of college hockey teams, Michigan, Minnesota, Wisconsin, a lot of the ECAC schools, like the league that we played in, Ivy League schools, half the roster are Canadian players. So you end up within your team, even you have this rivalry of like the Canadian dudes against the American dudes. It just exists. And it exists in such a way where US, as we know, like we are a pretty goddamn dominant country on this planet Earth. We're a superpower. We've got the most nukes. We won both world wars. We got all the culture. If you want to go be some gigantic movie star, you want to be some big tech guru, you come to the United States of America, baby. That's us. And then in hockey, they fucking beat us. Like Sidney Crosby, I saw whatever that stat was. Sidney Crosby like hadn't lost a USA versus Canada game in like 10 years or something. And he maybe even longer. And his record, he had some wild unbeaten streak where Sidney Crosby is in the lineup. Canada has like 40-0 in the last 40 games or something like that. So Canada just dominating the US in this incredible sort of contrast between us and we are, again, the almighty, powerful United States of America just to the south. Yet in hockey, those motherfuckers own us. And it started to get a lot closer in the last 5-10 years. And the World Juniors, if you know, like if you follow the Chicklets guys, and I know that's not going to pop onto your radar a lot, but like the World Junior Tournament, which goes on between Christmas and New Year's, is basically comes down to like USA Canada for the most part. And it's held in Canada a lot of the time, or it's held in like Buffalo and like shout out to Bushman in kind of the northern part of the US so that you get a blend of the crowds. And in Canada, it's like bigger than the Super Bowl, the World Juniors. I mean, they do documentaries on all the players leading up to it, and they have this crazy high pressure as like 18-year-olds to win the World Juniors. And we fucking have started winning that thing in a pretty good little clip here. And so there's a lot of momentum going in. And then going into this Four Nations, it's very interesting from my vantage point, because we started talking about this a couple weeks ago on the show for the first time. Frankie doing his whole Islanders thing. Great. There's some blues on these teams. Great. But going into it, it's like, okay, this is a substitute for an all-star game. Will there be the juice?
Right.
So even me as a big hockey guy, 3 months ago, I started skating again for the first time, which might save my life, by the way. I had a 181 max heart rate the other day on Thursday playing hockey. 181 max heart rate.
It's good for you.
Get back into apparently, or I'm going to die out there. Either way. Even me, I was like a little bit like, all right, I think this will have some juice. The U.S.-Finland game, it was exciting to watch them, and then the U.S. kind of blew them out. The Canada-Sweden game had an awesome start to the tournament when Canada won in OT with Crosby doing the behind-the-back pass, Mitch Marner coming down and scoring. It was great. And then this fucking game, like I got pretty juiced up in my little network of hockey buddies, dude. We were pretty fired up. We're betting on it. We played golf here Saturday. Alistair's a big hockey guy, so we got to get to Izzy's for this 6 p.m. puck drop afterwards. And before we even got down and ordered pizza, the game had already reached its fucking peak. There were 3 fights. I'm looking at the opening face-off. Guys are dropping their gloves, getting rid of the elbow pads and squaring up and ready to absolutely throw haymakers at each other. And it's the only sport, Trent, that you can really have that combination. You can't even fight in other sports, obviously. Why would you be able to just fisticuffs fight people unless it's a literal boxing or fucking MMA? So not only that, you could fight. It's pure patriotism. It's like national. It's just like, we are American. You are Canadian. Fuck you. They were booing the national anthem, the United States national anthem. So that got everybody fired up. And then, you're 9 seconds into the game. You've had 3 straight out haymaker fights. You've had booing at the national anthem, and you're 9 seconds into this game being like, this is the most important sporting event I've ever seen. We have to win this game. And then fucking McDavid scores early. So he's like the biggest star in the game. Canada, they're going fucking bananas. We come back. So yeah, I was glad to see that it transcended. And I'm curious to hear kind of your take as someone who, I feel like you almost were like an alien species who was dropped off randomly on this planet where they were playing hockey, and you were like, what the fuck is this?
100%. And what happened to me was what you described, where I had no plans to watch a hockey game that night. I didn't even know there was a hockey game on. I maybe saw some rumblings, and we talked about it on the show, but I certainly wasn't sitting down and being like, all right, here we go. USA, Canada, ready for it. Got my jersey on and I'm ready to go. And it is Twitter. It's oh my gosh, they're fighting already. And the thing that I don't think I realized, or that I was starting to catch on to, is this was a replacement for the All-Star game. So these are the best players in the world that are now fighting each other. Like, largely, I don't know about the NHL All-Star game, but I'm imagining there's not a ton of fights in that. I'm sure it's probably just guys hitting the puck or zero. That's
football.
What I thought.
It's flag football, you know?
Exactly. So now you have replaced the All-Star game with this Four Nations game, where now there's fights happening, and I'm sure there's GMs of hockey teams being like, what the fuck is going on? I got my crown jewel out there, and now they're trying to punch each other in the face. And that's an amazing thing. And you had said, like, we're trying to do this with golf. How do you make moments happen? I guess maybe there need to be fist fights in golf. That's really the only thing that I can come up with. And it was a really interesting weekend of sports in general, because also this weekend was the NBA All-Star game. And I don't know if you followed any of that, but that was a zero. That was a dud. It's interesting because hockey made a big change. They were like, we're not even going to do the All-Star game. We're going to do a Four Nations tournament, and this is what it's going to be. And it lit the internet on fire. It was the most popular thing of the weekend. And the NBA All-Star game also changed a bunch of things, and it didn't work. I thought that was a really interesting contrast of, we're living in an era now where sports are willing to change. You know, we're seeing change all over. Pitch clock. We talk a lot about pace of play with golf. We want them to change that. NHL went and did it with the All-Star game. They said, fuck the All-Star game. We're going to do this cool-ass tournament. The NBA said, fuck the All-Star game. Essentially, we're going to blow it up, and we're going to have this weird, I don't even know how to describe it, but it did not work. Like, there were breaks in the game. Kevin Hart was very involved, who is great, but too much Kevin Hart can happen in a hurry. And so the NHL made it happen. Like, you got to give them credit where it's, you know, I think the All-Star game largely for every sport is pretty blah. The Pro Bowl stinks. The NBA All-Star game is weird until like the last couple minutes of the fourth quarter. The NHL All-Star game sounds like it's probably, you know, pretty much a dud. So credit to them for coming up with something that, like, now the NBA needs to copy this and be like, how do we get, like, they need to do US versus the world. And like, cause there's so many good foreign players now where you just got to get that juice going. And yeah, I thought it was a really interesting weekend of sports to see what worked and what didn't.
Yeah, and I think that the Four Nations benefited a lot from the NBA flop on the All-Star thing too, where a lot of those fans were like upset. They were up for grabs. They're looking at this kind of contrast between what the hell's going on, where I'm watching these guys are literally, and you made an excellent point, where in order to make this roster of like 22 players that's dressing for one of these games, especially USA Canada, you got to be one of the best players in the NHL. Like, every one of these guys that's on the team is like a first line top player on their respective NHL team that are winning and competing for Stanley Cups. So usually even an NHL game, you're right, you get the occasional where it's awesome, where you'll get a star player, loses his cool, drops the gloves, and goes at it with like another star player. There's the famous clip from, I think it was probably late 90s, when it was the Detroit Red Wings and the Colorado Avalanche, and the fucking goalies skated right at each other at center ice and fought each other, and all the guys on the ice were fighting each other. But for the most part, you get like the biz nasty of the team fights against the other team's enforcer, and they'll do it for a myriad of different reasons. Usually it's to get the momentum going, which this was, to both teams' credit, this was the best thing, because you can get out there. It's almost like a little Game 70 World Cup-y final where you watch, and it's a little bit of like shitty play at the beginning because everybody's kind of feeling each other out. People are nervous. Nobody wants to be the guy to fuck up the play, and it almost loses emotion early on because everybody's playing a little skittish. And they did the exact opposite. They were like, this is emotional. This is our country against their country. everybody has these two teams as the favorites in the event. Canada's usually pretty significantly favored. They have a goddamn power play that's got Connor McDavid, Nathan McKinnon, and Sidney Crosby. And that would be like, that would be like if Jordan came like 15 years later, Trent, and you had like Michael Jordan, LeBron James, and Kobe on like, out there. So yeah, it's the dream team, the whole deal. Like if you had that, except they were going up against another country that was their equal or even better historically. And you're like, all right, this is fucking it. And so all the hype is like, look at this goddamn power play that they have. In the first power play in the first game against Sweden, they had an incredible tic-tac-toe McDavid to Crosby behind his back to McKinnon, who scored on a one-timer. And you're like, this is hockey porn. I can't believe this. And then to start the hockey game, dude, with those 30 fights to get everybody as emotional and fired up, right? It gets the jitters out. It's like, all right, my fucking guys, like, I'm over here nervous about my role in this game. I got 3 of my teammates here who absolute all-star players who just put their faces on the line, swinging at other guys. Like, we're in this thing now. So it was fucking awesome. And, it most likely is just that game's going to last as like an awesome thing that existed, but not really matter because USA Canada for the championship. We don't know what went down. Canada is playing tonight against Finland. It's still who's going to play against the US and the championship is up for grabs. It's most likely going to be Canada. And then Thursday night, we're going to have that exact same thing we had Saturday night, but like times 100 because it's the championship game. They're playing for the victory. That was like, and they did.
US too.
I think Frankie,
the finals.
What's up?
The finals are in US too. They're in Boston.
Yeah, it's in Boston. So those were in Montreal, and now they're going to be in Boston for the finals. And Frankie made a good point in the last show because I think we used the USA game as like one of the closest twos, but they scheduled it so that there was no chance that the USA Canada game from Saturday night wouldn't matter because sometimes when you do round robin, like if they both played each other in the third game and they both went 2-0, it like wouldn't really matter. There's a chance that could have happened. Instead, it was like that game fucking mattered. Like the US, in theory, could have knocked Canada out with that if Canada doesn't play well tonight. So yeah, it was fucking awesome. I was so glad to see it transcend. I think when you get like high energy environment, top tier hockey, I just don't think there's anything that's much more exciting. It's so fast. It's so energetic. It's a small enough rink, right? That like it feels very intimate. It feels a little bit like a high school gym when it comes to like when you watch a basketball game. It's got that feel a little bit. And that game had it the whole time. It was so exciting. I loved it.
It's awesome. And it's also, to me, it would be a little frustrating. Also, I kind of take it back to golf where we see the Ryder Cup every couple of years and it's so good and it is patriotism and it is nationalism and that gets people going. And like when it's at its top and at its peak, you can really get people going. And the viewership, I'm sure, for that USA Canada is going to be through the roof, just like the viewership is through the roof for the Ryder Cup. It's just you can't do that every time. Like hockey doesn't have the best ratings, certainly of the big four sports. Like and golf doesn't have great ratings. That's the big talk now, where it's like, man, if we could just somehow get that every week, and you just can't. It's impossible. You just can't do it. You can't.
Right. No, I know, and I think the hockey with USA Canada has the right. They're lucky too with the right recipe of that. It truly is really, really close. I just looked it up. Like they faced each other for the gold medal at the first Olympic hockey tournament in 1920. The USA played against Canada. Like the USA Canada hockey game from 2010 that was in Vancouver that Sidney Crosby scored the OT. Like it went to fucking overtime after the US scored with like seconds left on the clock. And it was the final event of the entire Olympics. So it was like they had already rolled out the carpet for like the closing ceremonies. And they were like, there's one thing left. And it's fucking the US versus Canada gold medal hockey game. And the biggest star of the generation for Canada scores in Canada in overtime after the US tied up. It's like the history is insane. And so all that kind of came out. And again, you didn't really fully expect if it would because it's middle of the season. It's like a 10-day little like impromptu tournament that's subbing in for the All-Star game. It's not the same thing as the Olympics where you gear up for months or weeks. Right. And then it's a really long kind of tournament. It's like this whole thing's happening. They're going to play like 4 games total, and a couple round robin games and a championship. Are they going to be that into it? And then 9 seconds into the game, you're like, this is life or death. Like whoever wins this, it feels like the other team's going to get executed and killed by their leader. Like this is insane.
Who makes the decision on those teams to be like, when this game starts, we are punching people in the face? Like you said, this could have happened or it could have not happened. Who's the tone setter of like, no, we're going to make this an event and we're going to throw some fists when this thing goes?
It was originally coming out that it was like once they booed the national anthem, the U.S. guys got fired up. Then it came out, I think, that there's been like text messages between the Kachuk brothers, like leading up to it, that were like, we're doing this. But then if you look, it wasn't like in hockey, you get extra penalties for instigating, Trent. So you kind of have to you have to have a little unwritten look at the other guy on the other team and be like, you want to go? And he has to agree. And Canada, clearly, it wasn't like the American guys were jumping them. It was like they both knew what was going on. So it was like, It was almost, that's kind of the beauty of fighting in hockey, is there's like a respect element to it. I believe in the NHL forever. I don't know if it's still a tradition, but like, I think the hometown guy that fights will take the visiting player out for a beer after the game, after they like get into a fight and stuff. So there's like a lot of tradition around fighting. It's like respectful. And you could tell like none of these, again, where one guy didn't go jump the other guy. It wasn't a crime of passion. It was like, they kind of look at each other like, you want to go? They're like, yep, I want to fucking go. And you kind of set the tone. And it's hockey, like fighting in hockey is very much used as a strategy. You know, it's very much used. Like if somebody goes after one of the more skilled guys on your team, then, you know, they find themselves in a fight. If somebody's playing a little bit cheap, they'll find themselves in a fight. If you're just down like 2 goals in the first 4 minutes of a huge game, you'll send your enforcer out there and be like, just fucking fight somebody, dude. Let's get the guys going. Just literally grab anybody that'll fight you and fucking fight them. We got to turn the momentum here. You know, like they'll change goalies, they'll fight. Like you do anything to kind of change the momentum in hockey.
Yeah.
And they just did it right out of the gate. So yeah, it was, I'm so jacked up for Thursday night. I hope Canada is the team. Like I don't, no offense to Sweden or Finland. They're both phenomenal. I actually really like Sweden a lot. We got a Swede right now dominating in the game of golf.
Dominating.
But I would like to see USA Canada in Boston, fire that thing back up. Oh God damn, that gets me. That gets my juices going.
I'm glad we talked about it because as a non-hockey knower, I had to get to the bottom of it. This is a golf podcast, but we did just talk about hockey for 20 minutes. Not foreign to this podcast, but I think I would say that was outside of a few other things like that happened non-sports. Like that was the big takeaway from the weekend. So I wanted knowledge on it, and you gave it to me, and I appreciate that.
A lot of history there, and yeah, like I said, and it's fucking competitive. I think that's a huge part of why the Ryder Cup is so successful the last 25 years, is that it's truly a coin flip. It feels like every time they have that thing. And basketball, like you said, you'd have to do it. You know, I think it would be, you could do it, but you'd probably have to do a couple combined teams or an international team or something, right? Because the U.S. is a little bit too dominant.
I think you could nowadays you could probably do an international team like with Jokic and Giannis and Luka and SGA. Like those are some of the top 10 players in the league, and Jokic is the best player in the league. So it's getting to a point now where you could definitely field an international team in the NBA.
Oh, God. I hope they go that route. I saw a lot of people talking about that. I think they probably will at some point. But, yeah, credit to the NHL. Like, bold move for them to go with this 4 nations. It was unlike anything they'd seen before. You know, there are people, as you can imagine, weighing in that were upset. There's no Russian team, right? Like, Russia's really, really, really good. But obviously with some geopolitical things going on, a la Putin is, like, invading our allies, that, you know, the Russian team was not invited into this tournament. So you do have a lot of like absolute stud Russian players that are just not in the event. And so worried about that. Is that going to water it down a little bit? And it just hasn't. It's absolutely delivered. So let's go USA on Thursday night. Championship game. USA, baby. Couple administrative things now that we got the real hockey talk out of the way. We got Kingdom video and we got the full squad of the Kingdom. So you're going to get a great look. You know, we talked about it a lot when we were there on site. The Kingdom, if you're a golfer, is truly the coolest experience in the world of golf. Tinkering, you've got the best fitters in the world. You've got all the best equipment. The turf is perfect. I mean, absolutely perfect. They've got a dream driving range. It's got a bunch of different pin flags with freshly mown greens you can hit at. It's got different fairways that you can hit at that are part of the driving range. You're in San Diego, so it's absolutely perfect out. You're in like this grove of perfection. There's a whole green over on the left side that's like a huge couple greens where you can hit wedges into, and you're just out there for hours with a fitter, with like all the best tracking technology, TrackMan, all that stuff, and the best fitters on earth, and you just swing away, and you have these absolute geniuses at their craft, the TaylorMade fitters, from Adrian to just the whole squad, and then they're just moving stuff around, changing weights, changing shafts, changing club heads, and then they're like, just keep swinging, swing how you swing, and then the ball flight changes, they show you the numbers, and they get you absolutely optimally dialed in. And we've been there before, which is extreme. We're unbelievably lucky. It's insane we get to say that. But now factor in, we've got Francis in there. We got Jersey Jerry in there. We got Beef in there. We got the whole squad at the Kingdom.
Yeah, it was really fun watching. Again, we are so spoiled. It's disgusting. But so watching, Jerry, Francis, and Beef have that experience was really fun. And, I know not everybody can go to the Kingdom, fiscally or whatever it may be, but it does boil down to fitting is very important. And just wherever you go to get fitted, wherever it is, it's important. It can help you. It can improve your game. I think that's like the big takeaway from that. And you'll see every level with this new, Barstool Golf crew that we're kind of rolling with. We run the gamut of skill levels and where we're at in our golf games. So, yeah, I'm excited for people to watch it. I really, it's a dream come true every time we get to go there to San Diego at the Kingdom. So, and watching the new guys get to experience it was really, really fun. So definitely check out that video on our YouTube page.
That's coming out this week. And Trent, I'm not the longest driver of the golf ball in the world. And on Saturday at Greyhawk, basically no wind. It's like, overseated. So it's not like it's wildly firm. I hit 2 drives over 290 yards because of the optimization of what they did with my driver, dude. And I hit some that didn't go 290 for sure. But when I hit that thing well, now that they've like perfectly fit it for me, the 9th hole is a 450-yard par 4, and it's like flat, maybe in a little uphill. I had 8 iron into the hole. And it's like, that's just something that I wasn't ever able to really do. And what they did was like for me, and they'll see it on the video, and they did this for everybody at all the different clubs, but they flipped the weights of my driver. I had my driver, the weights were heavier in the back of the driver than in the front. And so I was hitting these kind of high, spinny-ish drives. Even my good ones were just coming out a little too high, a little too soft. And he was asking me, he's like, do you have drives where you can see the ball mark next to the ball? And I was like, all the time. In fact, I see drives land where like the fucking ball is behind where it landed. And like you want rollout with a driver. And what he did was he changed the weights a little and then flip-flopped them. So now the weight, instead of my driver coming in like this and hitting the ball up into the air, if you're looking on YouTube, it's sort of like this hitting it, and it's coming out flatter and hotter. And I'm not carrying the ball 290, but I probably carried 260, 270 on a couple of those drives on Saturday, and they rolled out and they're over 290. And that was just like, that was so much more fun to play golf with. And that's purely because of the Kingdom fitting, like purely. And again, you're right. Everybody's got different means. Totally understand. If it's not even in, then don't even listen to this part. But if you're going to play 15, 20, 30 rounds a year, that adds up to thousands and thousands of dollars. And if you're going to play 10, 20, 30% better because you're going to have something that's fit for you, and that costs a couple thousand, at the end of the day, it's like round per round spent. If you've got a little bit of the money, it's worth it. It's worth it to have that much more fun out there. It's worth it to hit the ball that much better. I got the new irons that they sent me too, and the ball's just come when I put a good move on it, the ball's just coming in like higher apex, landing softly, and it's a million times more fun to hit the ball. So yeah, Kingdom video is going to be great, and those 3 characters in there added is something you've never seen before. So people are going to love that. And then another thing we've got on the administrative front is we're doing a little Barstool Golf Green Grass initiative, which is we're trying to get our merchandise into more pro shops around this great country. So if you are, if you're a golfer, if you're a golf pro, if you work at a golf course, if you work in the pro shop, email us, reach out to us. It's barstool-golf@barstoolsports.com. That is barstool-golf@barstoolsports.com. And what we're doing is, if you're a merchandise manager, if you're a PGA pro, if you're a golf course operator, what we're working on doing is launching our new Barstool Golf Green Grass Wholesale program, which is working directly with you, the club, across this great country, United States of America, defeat Canada 3-1, hopefully win again, to get Barstool Golf merchandise into these pro shops on the shelves. We got polos, pullovers, hoodies, hats, tees, head covers, towels, all kinds of stuff. Full collection available. So just shoot us an email, barstool-golf@barstoolsports.com. We're going green grass, Trent.
Yeah, this is cool. This is a really cool thing that we're doing. And our guy Quinn, he sent out sort of an intro email to a bunch of places, and there's a ton of interest already. So the ball is definitely rolling. But yeah, reach out to us, send an email, go to that website, do whatever you can. We're trying to get this stuff everywhere. And I know there's definitely an appetite for it. Everywhere we sell this Barstool Golf stuff, it does really well. So we're trying to infiltrate as much as we can, and this is a really good way to do it. So again, reach out, go to the website, send us an email, and our guys will get back to you.
For us, golf is simple. It is a chance to get out, have some fun with our friends, let loose, try to play good golf, but more importantly, have a great time out there. Things can get in the way, make you rattled, frustrated, put you on tilt. Could be your own golf game, could be other groups, could be the weather, could be anything. Fireball is going to take all that stress out of it and just loosen you up and make sure you and your group have a great time. The Fireball 50 milliliter shooters, they're perfect for the golf course.
If you combine Fireball with your round of golf, you are going to have fun. Golf is hard. Golf is just, it's really not an easy sport. And if you go out there and play and you don't have any Fireball, there's a chance you're going to be frustrated. But if you take the Fireball, these 50 milliliter shooters, put them in your bag, put them in your golf cart, that is a guarantee for fun. Because if you make a bogey, take a Fireball shot. If you make a birdie and you celebrate, take a Fireball shot. Either way, you're going to be drinking Fireball and having a good time, and that's what it's all about out there on the golf course.
Fireball's iconic cinnamon flavor. It tastes fire. It goes down very easy, and there's no chaser needed, no shot glass, none of that. You just crack it, knock it back, bang. It is go time. If you're really feeling like upping the ante anywhere this weekend, it could be on the golf course, could be at home, could be at the bar, could be literally anywhere. If you're feeling like maybe you're on a ski trip, feeling like upping the ante this weekend, make sure to grab the new Fireball Birdie Shot Club. It is literally a golf club filled with Fireball nips. Every 26 seconds, a burglary takes place in the U.S., according to FBI data. That means by the time this podcast ends, dozens of homes will have been targeted, Trent. That's pretty scary.
That is scary. And man, we've had Simply Safe on this podcast for a long time. Imagine how many burglaries we have stopped with people signing up with Simply Safe via this podcast. That makes me feel good. That makes me feel really good. Somebody listening to the show, invested in what we're doing, invested in what we're saying, and then they're like, oh, I just bought a home. I need to keep it safe. I need to keep my stuff safe. I need to keep my family safe. I'm going to sign up for this Simply Safe. And there have been people doing that through the run of this podcast, and that has probably stopped a bunch of burglaries, and that makes me very, very happy.
It's a great point. We're kind of heroes thanks to Simply Safe being heroes, which is great. Traditional security systems only take action after someone has already broken in. That is too late. Simply Safe's Active Guard outdoor protection can help prevent break-ins before they happen. AI-powered cameras backed by live professional monitoring agents monitor your property and detect suspicious activity. If someone's lurking around or acting suspiciously, those agents see and talk to them in real time, activate spotlights, and even contact the police, all before they have the chance to get inside your home. Visit simplysafe.com/foreplay to claim 50% off a new system with a professional monitoring plan, and your first month is free. That is simplysafe.com/foreplay. Again, 50% off. simplysafe.com/foreplay. There's no safe like Simply Safe. Trent, this Ludvig Åberg character is a real problem for anyone that plays competitive golf that's not named Ludvig at this point.
He's tall, he's handsome, he's really good at golf, and I love him. It's like,
it's close.
Maverick McNeely was going to win this tournament. When I turned it on, I started watching it. Maverick's like 8 under through 11 holes or something. And I'm like, oh, he just, he rose above and he's going to win this thing. And then he just doesn't. And Åberg wins it. And yeah, I don't see a world where he doesn't at least win a couple of majors over the next couple of years. And I know you have that bet, right? Where you bet him to win a major this year.
I have the DK Sports, DK partner. I have a future on Ludvig. I think I placed it in November, December for him to win one major championship in 2025.
You have to feel so good about that.
I feel amazing. I feel amazing about it.
How does he not win every golf tournament that he enters? Just watching him, his swing is perfect. He plays fast. Even when he, on 18 yesterday, when he hit that 7-wood to the back of the green, and you're like, wow, that, even the announcer's like, wow, that's going to be a tough 2-putt. At no point did I think he was not going to 2-putt. He's just a machine. He's a fucking machine. And he's great for the game of golf. Like I said, he's young. He's good looking. He plays fast. Like I said, like there's so many components really of nice Ludvig smile. That are, the smile is good. Yeah, no, I feel bad for Maverick McNeely. It felt like it was going to be his tournament, but Ludvig, this guy is the future.
He's inevitable, right? He's one of those guys that's just inevitable. He's like the Terminator, where it's like you just can't kill him. He can change into like liquid if he needs to, and then back into a solid, and then get a weapon, and he can just, no matter what you do to him, you can obliterate him, and just enough pieces of him remain that even if he gets sick and shoots 79 at Torrey Pines a couple weeks ago, his pieces will find, they'll come back together, he'll still be perfect, and he's inevitable, and he will defeat you, and that's exactly what he did. I wrote down a bunch of Ludvig kind of stats here, a little resume. First of all, he birdied 13, 14, 15, and 18 to win by 1 at one of the harder golf courses that we've seen in a long time. Looked like a single-digit under par winner was going to occur, which we just don't get that often. He ended up shooting like 12 under or so. He's got Joe Scovern on the bag. Shout out to Scov. He's a Scottsdale guy out here. I know him very well. Really, really good dude, obsessed with the game of golf. He raves about Lud, as he calls him, Lud this, Lud that. I was talking to him at the Phoenix Open. He was on Ricky Fowler's bag forever. Then he was on Tom Kim's bag for a quick hot minute. And then he jumped over to Ludvig's bag. And now he's got himself just a great horse that he's hitched his wagon to for a long time. So pumped for Scov, but veteran, awesome caddy to have on the bag. So not only is everything else perfect, he's got a great caddy. He finished at the very top of the class at the 2022-2023 PGA Tour University rankings. He is 2-2-0 in the Ryder Cup when he joined that Ryder Cup team 2 years ago now, when he was still just a spring chicken out there. People barely knew who he was. He's got 2 PGA Tour wins now and a DP World Tour win. He finished second at the Masters last year, by the way. Solo second. It was like him, Max, and Scotty kind of coming down the stretch. He finished solo second. He also was the 36-hole leader at the U.S. Open. He ended up stumbling over the weekend, hit one basically into my backyard, finished 12th place. He also finished 8th place at the Players' Championship last year. So 3 of the biggest 5 events in the world of golf last year, he was right there. He was either leading, finished second, or at least finished inside the top 10. He's now up to 4th in the official world golf rankings. He's up to freaking 4th, which is outrageous. It goes Scotty, Xander, Rory, and then you've got Ludvig, and Colin Morikawa, I believe, is 5th. He got a nice $4 million payday for his victory, so that's going to be a great WOD Wednesday. And then I was going through a little bit because, again, the U.S. Open thing, I was like, not really sure. Does kind of Ludvig have a little bit of an issue with closing? And I pulled up a couple stuff like the Scottish Open last year. He had a 2-stroke lead after the 3rd round, ended up finishing 4th. At the U.S. Open, like I said, he was leading after 36 holes, ended up finishing 12th. At the 2023 BMW, he led after 54 holes, shot a final round 76, ended up finishing T10. And then at the Farmers, he ended up getting really sick 3 weeks ago. Buddy co-led after 36 holes, ended up shooting a closing round 79. Obviously wasn't in contention, but he was sick. But then I also looked, his first ever professional win, I believe, was when he won on the DP World Tour, and he birdied 4 of his last 5 holes to win. He clearly can close out because he's undefeated in the Ryder Cup, which is the highest pressure you can possibly play in. And then he birdied 4 of whatever it was, the last 6 holes to win by 1 when it looked like he wasn't even really in the mix. So he's got kind of this, I guess he's only 25 years old, kind of what you would expect, but he's had some scar tissue in there, and then he comes out and does something like this. So I don't think there's really anything problematic to look at in there. If anything, it's like, oh, he's done this a couple times now where he can just birdie a million holes down the stretch under pressure. So yeah, he's pretty much perfect.
Yeah, you're on the cusp of greatness when people go back and start to audit your finishes and like what is like, does this guy have a problem? And you brought up some good examples where he's got these leads and then he shoots a 76 or a 79. Yeah, it would appear that maybe he's a little bit better at like what happened yesterday where he was in the mix. Maverick, sort of, he doesn't stall on the last few holes, but he just doesn't quite close the door. And then bang, Ludvig just makes a bunch of birdies and wins the tournament. So, that will all get washed away when he eventually wins whatever major he wins, whether that be this year or the years to come. But it is interesting, like whenever you are sort of on a hot run, people will start to look up the stats and be like, oh, maybe there's this, maybe there's that. And I think that all will get washed away when he ends up winning one of these big tournaments. And it's going to happen sooner than later. He is inevitable, like you're saying.
I think that's right. And, we had a big discussion on the show last week about sort of, could this be a big year on the PGA Tour for fireworks, for big players winning big events, battling it out consistently down the stretch? Obviously, Maverick McNeely, Patrick Rogers, not necessarily maybe the biggest names in the world, and Ludvig is making his way up there. I would say, he's number 4 in the world ranking, so he's clearly becoming a big star, which we, again, talked about with Kiz, about like building new stars. He's as good a case as there is, but pretty close right there. Scotty Scheffler, number 1 in the world, finished tied for 3rd. Tommy Fleetwood, one of our all-time favorites, a huge fan favorite out there, very popular player, finished tied for 5th. Justin Thomas, who's been playing very well, finished tied for 9th. Rory-McIlroy, who really didn't have the closing weekend that he wanted, but finished tied for 17th, of course, but he was still right there going into the weekend. So, it wasn't necessarily Scotty with a huge putt against Rory with a huge putt against Xander with a huge putt on the 72nd hole of the tournament. But this is an elevated event. This is sort of like what they're trying to do with these things. It's hosted by Tiger Woods, who was there, which we're going to get into. And you got some pretty damn good names that are up there. He won at 12 under par, but these kind of Fleetwoods and Scotty Schefflers, 8 under, 9 under, right there. It does feel like we're kind of continuing to trend towards the best players in the world playing against the best players in the world down the stretch at iconic venues like Torrey Pines. We're still kind of trending in that direction, it feels like.
Kyle Porter tweeted something interesting. He said there have been no repeat country winners on the PGA Tour yet this year. So Hideki won the Century, Nick Taylor won the Sony Open, Sepp Straka won the American Express, Harris English won the Farmers, Rory won Pebble Beach, Dietrich, Belgian won Waste Management. Now we got Ludvig at the Genesis. I don't know what that means. It could mean nothing, but it's at the very least, it's pretty interesting. Golf's a global game. It's that more than ever now. I know there's a lot of chatter about what's been going on. How can we grow it? But overall, it's doing pretty well internationally.
I believe, is that no Americans yet either?
Harris English, I believe, right?
Oh, Harris English. Okay, good. I wanted to make sure we had somebody in there because I was a little bit panicky because I did hear they were maybe on Golf Central or something. They were talking. They're like, yeah, we really haven't had that many American winners compared to usual over the last, whatever, at the beginning part of this year. And I was like, we're doing this whole thing, USA, hockey, we're all fired up. It's a Ryder Cup year. It's like we kind of need to see some red, white, and blue at the top of these leaderboards.
Keegan did make an ace on the 3rd hole at Torrey Pines, which we love to see.
That was exciting. Captain Keegan with an ace. Ludvig had an ace. So we like aces. Aces are nice. Speaking of which, I can transition a little bit quickly. Patrick Reed, I just laughed out loud at this clip. There's nobody, there's really nobody that encompasses, I would say, being like cool less than like Patrick Reed, And I think that like when you get the hole-in-one on the watering hole, and we've seen this at the Phoenix Open. It's not picking on Liv. It's not picking on Patrick Reed. You could see this at the Phoenix Open. Like Sam Ryder is kind of like a cool cat. He rocks the joggers, kind of got like a cool look to him. He's got, whatever. When he had that ace at the 16th hole on Saturday, the Phoenix Open a couple years ago, he like handled it pretty goddamn well. He's like kind of a cool guy. People were throwing beers. He could kind of embrace and understand that. When you had Joel Damon and Harry Higgs taking their shirts off and putting on the green while people are like throwing beers at them, those are kind of, compared to golfers, kind of cool cats who can roll with the punches and they're great. Patrick Reed, I just can't get over. Like, you're now, when he made an ace, it was fucking awesome. They're throwing all the beers out there. It was like early in the first round down at Live Golf Adelaide, which is like their highest attended event. It's got all the juice as much as they can get, so it's great. And he makes an ace like within the first hour of the tournament. And then you're immediately thrust into this, like, you kind of got to be cool. And there's almost like the clip of Tiger when he made his ace, walking around doing the raise the roof. Even Tiger is one of the most famous people. It still looks a little bit like, it's like a golfer walking down the fairway doing raise the roof. It's just a little. And then you got Patrick Reed in there. And he's now, you could tell he's thrust into this, like, I'm fucking, let's go. He's gassing up the crowd. And it just made me laugh out loud watching this guy in this environment where he was just the guy. He had done the fucking thing. It was as cool as it could get. People thought they're going to sit there all weekend long and not get to see an ace. They get to see one, so they're as jacked up as possible. They're like, give it to me, Patrick. And he was giving it to him the best that he possibly could. And it was cool. It was a cool moment. But man, just walking down the fairway after that and high-fiving people and stuff, I got a little bit of the chills with how loud it was, but I also couldn't stop laughing. I was in this like weird headspace as I was consuming the entire content. I was happy for Patrick Reed. He's actually always been great to us. We were doing the walk and talks during the Wingfoot US Open, which is funny to look back on. But man, just in that environment of like, now you're the fucking guy who did the cool thing, and it being Patrick Reed, it got a very good chuckle out of me.
Trying to be cool in golf is an uphill battle. We see it all the time, like with the missed handshakes and high fives. It just doesn't lend itself to cool moments. And I think we gotta just acknowledge that. It's not the NFL. Like, guys dancing in the end zone after touchdown is awesome. Dunks in the NBA are awesome. Like, hockey, cool pass, or like you were talking about with
celebration, big
McDavid and all, and Mitch Martin and all those guys. Like, I don't know. There's something about golf that is just inherently not cool at all. And when you have a guy like Patrick Reed, you're just going to get the Patrick Reed experience. But I guess I think back to, remember when he holed out from the fairway during the Ryder Cup?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was kind of cool. And they kind of like him and Spieth were, man, that feels like a million years ago. You want to talk about that?
Like threw his club in the air or something, didn't he? And like they went crazy.
Yeah. And it was, I don't know how you look cool in the game of golf. Like, I guess, well, all right, he makes a hole-in-one, or whoever makes a hole-in-one. Do they not celebrate? They just shake hands? Or
no, then you get roasted. I know. Like, you got to go nuts for it, You got to go nuts for it. But I think, like, I can always envision the clip of when Trevor Immelman got the ace on the 16th hole at the Masters. And, like, it cuts, because they always do. They show the ball go into the hole, and then they immediately cut back to the player. And right when they cut back to Trevor in that moment, he is airborne. He is, like, in the air with both his arms in the air, his feet are off the ground, and it's kind of cool. It's like a cool moment. I remember when JT got his ace on the 16th hole at the Masters, he was doing like cool high fives with people. I don't remember if it was like Phil. I can't remember exactly. It was in his group, but he was doing like cool guy kind of high fives. And like, just, you're right. It's not an easy thing to do. There's a million clips of Tiger Woods and Stevie Williams, like, just not being cool with their high five. There's a million clips of us being wildly uncool because we film our rounds of golf. Especially me and Frankie. I don't think we've ever connected on like a high five fist bump. We're always doing the wrong one. It's just a nightmare. And it made me laugh because, again, it didn't even really have anything to do with Patrick Reed. It was just, it's so hard in that moment to live up to it. And you're trying, and you're high-fiving everybody, low-fiving people, dapping people up, which his team, they clearly have like their own team dap. Some of it was cool. Some of it was a miss. But it was just like, you can't help, because now the thing is done. And it's like, it doesn't take long. You hit a shot, the thing is done, and now it's like, this is actually the clip that's going to go everywhere. It's like, what happens now? And so witnessing that, it just gets a laugh out of me every time.
The scene on that hole is cool, though. They've done a good job with that. It's a very well-attended tournament, like you said, and having the beer go everywhere. I know there's going to be people like, don't throw don't throw cups on the golf course, but it's bro. They do that at the Waste Management. They do that on LIV. Like, that's just, when something like that happens and you're in the moment, you're drinking beers with your friends, and you're like, oh my gosh, the thing happened. Let's just rain cups and beer onto this. That's a fun moment for all those people involved. So the clip in that regard was super, super cool.
Oh, absolute win. It's almost like whatever they end up settling upon, which we're going to get into this stuff next, on LIV, Tour, merger, Trump's involved now, Tiger's involved, Rory's involved. Who knows what it's going to end up with. They got to include Australia like LIV has included Australia. It's their biggest success. It's the number one, in my opinion, positive thing that they've done. Going international in general, I think, is a great move by them. But the fact that they've really focused on Australia, as guys that were there 5 or 6 years ago now, they're obsessed with sports down there. They're obsessed with a lot of American sports, but sports in general. And they're obsessed with golf. There's a fucking crazy, crazy, rabid golf contingent down there. And going there and embracing it, leaning into it, showing them the best stars in the world is such a no-brainer. So I enjoy watching those clips. The course looked awesome. Like, just the bunkering, it reminded me like we were in Melbourne and we played Kingston Heath right off the plane where we were all in this like delirious state with like bugs and heat. We hadn't really slept. We've been on the plane. And then we're out there in this like wildly firm sand belt of Australia trying to play this golf course, just getting our absolute teeth kicked in. It looked a lot like that just from the conditions. And that kind of golf is so sick. So yeah, shout out to LIV with the Australia move. It's a home run every time.
So how close is this deal to getting done? Because Tiger Woods joined the broadcast yesterday with Immelman and Nance, and I was watching it. I was cleaning around the house, so I was kind of in and out. But at one point, I think Immelman or Nance asked him, "Are we close on this thing, and is it going to happen soon?" And I think Tiger said yes to both. So I know there's a lot of powerful voices involved. You said Trump, Rory, Tiger. Somebody's talking to Saudi Arabia. Like, this thing feels as close as it ever has. And I'm just very curious on when it's going to happen.
It's a great question. I think Rory himself last week, I believe, said like he felt like he could see in 2026 guys that had gone to LIV being back on the PGA Tour, playing in PGA Tour events. So I think that's a great sign. Tiger said, I think we're in a very positive place right now. We had a meeting with the president. Unfortunately, I had some other circumstances that came up. Of course, his mother fell ill, but Jay and Adam Scott, they did great during the meeting. And we have another subsequent meeting coming up. I think that things are going to heal quickly. He said, we're going to get this game going in the right direction. It's been heading in the wrong direction for a number of years. That felt like a big time shot at some people. He said it's been heading in the wrong direction for a number of years, and the fans want all of us to play together, all the top players playing together, and we're going to make that happen, he said. Which, again, I feel like it's still a little bit vague Tiger Woods media-trained language.
Oh, yeah.
But it's definitely more assertive than we've heard before. And again, Rory now kind of changing his tune, which Johnson Wagner took a bunch of issue with, which we can get into as well. But Rory kind of being like, I see a pathway. I see people, being able to come back and play on the PGA Tour. Rory saying, I think everyone's just got to get over it in terms of like grudges against the LIV. And we all have to say, okay, this is the starting point, and we move forward. We don't look to the past. Whatever's happened has happened. How we all come back together and move forward, that's the best thing for everyone. So I do think like this sort of language that we're starting to get from the most influential people on the tour side is a very good sign for something, getting done. Now, what the hell that looks like, I don't think anybody has more of a clue than we've had ever.
We just need it, man. And we've needed it for years, obviously. And we've talked a lot on this show. Like, yeah, there's always that language of like, oh, we're near, we're on the 3-yard line. We're on the 2.5-yard line. And that stuff makes you want to rip your hair out.
This thing in the end zone, Let's get this thing in the end zone.
But just like the idea of seeing Patrick Reed in these events and Bryson in these events. And, we've talked a lot about it where it's these polarizing players, for whatever reason, seem to be the type that went to LIV. Because they were just like, we're done with the PGA Tour. We're done
Bubba
with
Watson, Bryson.
Bubba Watson. These guys who, people have opinions about them. And that's a good thing. Like, we need people talking about this stuff. Like, Scotty's great. He's won a bunch of tournaments last year. Is he the most electric guy in the world? No. Is he going to cause any problems outside of getting arrested, wrongfully? No. But like,
that was amazing.
On the golf course, you need, it sounds weird to say, but it is true. You need the Patrick Reeds and the Brysons and the Bubbas and the weirdos. You need weirdos to make things interesting. So the sooner we can have that, the better off we're going to be. What that looks like, nobody has any idea. I wonder if the guys who are at the helm of this thing have any idea. But if it can happen soon, like, I'll be so excited the first time Patrick Reed is in a PGA Tour field again. How great will that be?
Me too. Just the interactions, dude. Remember after Rory had been served on like Christmas Eve by Patrick Reed's like lawyer for defamation or something, and then like a month later they're playing in Dubai together, and like Reed walked by Rory on the ring. Like that little stuff is just shit that we don't really get. It's sort of like the tour guys are all sort of the tour guys, and they're all like kind of on their own team of tour. The LIV guys are all happy to be LIV, so it's like they're not really intermingling. And I completely agree with you. And like I think Johnson Wagner kind of took a couple shots at Rory after some of Rory's comments, where Rory said, if people are butthurt or have their feelings hurt because guys went or whatever, like, who cares? Let's move forward together and let's try to get this thing going again and do what's best for the game. And then he also said I've been on the record saying this a lot. We're playing for a $20 million prize fund this week, and that would have never happened if LIV hadn't come around. Johnson Wagner took a bunch of issue with Rory, essentially saying, like, we're all better off now because it's happened. And he said the fact that he's saying that we've all benefited, he's just seeing things from a finite perspective. From his perspective, who hasn't benefited since all these things have gone on? Sponsors who pay all the bills, TV is down, everything is down, yet they're being asked to pay more money. That's a good point. That's sort of this house of cards thing that we've talked about for years now, where we're like, all these purses are going up. The ratings, by most accounts, are like going down or are not amazing. And so it's like, where is this disconnect? Where is that going to emerge? Where is it really going to play out? If the guys on LIV now, both tours this weekend, Joaquin Niemann and Ludvig Åberg, they both won $4 million for winning first place in each one of those. And it's like, well, LIV has like no ratings. The tour, we saw last couple weeks ago with Rory, ratings were pretty solid, but generally week to week, they're not like amazing. So if TV's down, all this stuff is down, it's like, where is all of this money coming from? How can you be asking the sponsors to pay more money when they're delivering a little bit less? And so just understanding that entire landscape and trying to see, I guess, like, sponsor, everybody's kind of hanging on, being like, yeah, it's a little bit of a lull here because things are fractured, but it's obviously going to come together. Well, then we actually need that to come together. And I think whether it was Kiz or whoever we were talking with in the last couple of weeks made the point of like, who's really missing from the PGA Tour? And I think that's a fair point. I think that just when you pluck Jon Rahm, for example, over to LIV, that doesn't all of a sudden make millions of people watch LIV. But I do think that it is so unbelievably cool in the majors when we finally get to see Bryson and Brooks and DJ and Rahm and Niemann play against Rory and Scotty and Åberg and Xander. And you're like, fuck yes, let's really see who's who. Let's get this thing cooking. And if we get everybody back together, it is like we had Bryson standing on somebody's balcony using a rangefinder during the tournament the other day. It's like we got Patrick Reed making aces at the cool watering hole. Like that stuff just added to what's going on in the PGA Tour, I think is only a good thing. Hopefully they could take some of the positives that LIV has done, whether it's a fall series team aspect, whether it's the Australian swing, whatever the hell it could be. I do think it really is important that, like, let's just get all these fuckers together playing golf more often. That's what we want.
Yeah, I can already hear people listening to this being like, you think adding Patrick Reed is going to be the difference? And I understand, like, that's not exactly the argument we're making. And that was one thing I disagree with Kiz on, where he was saying, like, oh, we're adding these 4 or 5 big name guys back to the tour. Is that really going to bring in the viewership you want? And it's not guaranteed, like you're saying, but like having the chance of having Scotty Scheffler and Jon Rahm on the back nine of a tournament going at each other that's not a major, that will bring eyeballs. And when Jon Rahm is not even on the same tour as Scotty Scheffler, you have a 0% chance of that happening. If they're on the same tour, maybe there's an 8% chance that happens. Is it going to happen every time? No. But the times that it does happen, you are going to get ratings. Like having 2 big names, it's like a heavyweight fight. Having 2 big names go up against each other, you will get way bigger ratings in the world of golf. That has to be true. If it's not true, then just scrap the whole thing and we'll all figure out something else to do.
Agreed. And if you really look, like probably the best back nine that we had last year was Rory versus Bryson at Pinehurst number 2. And that's just, if you don't have those, and I get it's US Open, so it's elevated for sure. But if you don't have those 2 different fields coming together, you just don't get that. It cannot possibly exist. And I was just looking right now, like that final round peaked at 11.4 million viewers. It averaged a total audience of 5.9 million viewers on NBC and Peacock during that final round. So it's like it delivered the numbers. It delivered all the social clips of like Rory missing those putts, of Bryson hitting the bunker shot, all of that. It just fucking delivered. And so that recipe that got us to that point, that delivered the numbers and the social clips and all that, just wouldn't have happened if you don't have the LIV crew and the PGA Tour crew coming together playing against each other. So I think we need that. I think these guys agree that we need that. Hopefully they're closer. It's like, it's funny now that literally like the president of the United States and like Saudi Arabia's king's right-hand man are now talking with like Rory McIlroy and Tiger Woods and Adam Scott and Jay Monahan being like, all right, yeah, let's do this golf deal thing. And everyone's like, oh, okay, yeah, cool. You guys are the most powerful people in the world. Fuck yeah. It's like, it's very funny that that's a real thing, but it is.
I like Adam Scott, and Adam Scott did a video with us. He's an incredibly handsome man who has one of the greatest swings in golf history. How did his name get thrown into all this?
Stunned when I saw that. I couldn't believe they just said Adam Scott. I mean, they might have said Charlie Hoffman at that point, or they could. I was just like, what? I'm totally with you. And he's fucking Australia. He's like not, it's like, I don't know. He's a major champion winner. He won the Players Championship. He's as good of a brand as there is out there. Clean, handsome, well spoken, great accent. But like, I was like, Adam Scott. Did I miss that? Where it was like Adam Scott's just coming to this meeting. Let's call Adam Scott.
How did you feel? How did you feel about Tiger in the booth? And I thought he did a great job. It was good to see him.
Me too. I thought that it continued my belief in sort of the positive trend up ever since, it's been since July that he's played a PGA Tour event. He had the back surgery. We saw him briefly in November. Then the world saw him at the PNC. And everything since then, I've felt like has really been trending up. He said that he wants to play more. He said, my goal is to play more. I haven't played. I need to work on that. I'll get back after it and look forward to playing some big events. The favorite is that he's going to play his next tournament at the Masters. He hasn't played Bay Hill or the Players Championship in 5 years. Hopefully he plays one of those two. But overall, I'm with you. I thought he looked good. The comments about his mom were so authentic, real.
Yeah.
It was great to see that from Tiger, to see kind of the vulnerable side a little bit. Of course, it's his mother, his rock, as he said, and to see him up there talking about moving the event from, the Palisades Fires and Riviera down to Torrey Pines, hearing him talk about LIV, all that stuff. It just came off very much like he was in a good headspace despite everything going on, despite coming off, yet another surgery, having to move the event, his mother passing away. I'm with you. I thought he looked good. He had like some color to him. He had some charisma to him. You know what I mean? Like, I've seen him in those booth appearances before that have looked like troublesome and usually led to some bad stuff. I thought this was the opposite. I thought it was very much like optimistic. It was like, all right, this guy, we're kind of continuing on an upward trajectory, I felt.
I agree. And he loves those sunglasses. He wears those everywhere. The just really wide, thick sunglasses. Every time I see him,
stylish guy. He's just not a stylish guy. It's not, he just doesn't. I love the man, one of the most famous people on the planet for a nice stretch, as dominant as they come. Shout out to Lord of the Majors. Like, Tiger's the greatest player of all time. And he just has never figured out the style. He like walks around, catch him some time. He's walking around in like cargo cut off shorts. And he dresses like my dad. You know what I mean? It's like, he's just not, he hasn't like fully figured out the fucking style.
Luckily yesterday he was at Torrey Pines. He's at a golf course. So the fit looked great. And it's just something about those sunglasses. I don't know why it looks like I remember way back when my grandpa got LASIK, and they don't let you leave the doctor's office unless you're wearing these mega over the top sunglasses, because your eyes are exposed and they don't want anything bad to happen. He wears those like they're just a casual Sunday. He's like, oh yeah, I'm going to wear these huge sunglasses today. They seem like they're medical sunglasses too.
They do. Way. No, they absolutely appear that way. And I just don't, I don't know. I don't know why he does that. He almost looks like he's getting ready to jump out of a plane or something, the way that he rocks that stuff, it's very surprising.
He does look good though. He looks healthy. He just looks, I don't know. He looked great out there. I thought, I really thought he had a good time in the booth. He has a good time with Immelman and Nance, and it was just good to see him. I'm glad he made it out.
Those guys are the best. Immelman and Nance, they do such a good job. They're so smooth. I know Nance is Nance. He's been doing it forever, but Trevor up there with them, they're such a good duo. And then those can be so awkward, when you kind of throw a Tiger Woods into the mix and you just don't know what you're going to get from Tiger. Sometimes he's chatty. Sometimes he's really closed off. Sometimes, you just don't know. He's coming off a cross-country flight. It's like, and it was smooth as butter. They're up there going through topic to topic. It was, like I said, authentic, real, raw, and relatively smooth. It was fucking great. I thought it was a very good, we kind of, as people who like to keep our fingers on the pulse of everything Tiger that possibly happens, from leaked photos to appearances in the booth. I came away from that being very optimistic about our guy going into this year.
I've noticed Immelman, our guy, who's now been doing this job for a while now, and he's very, very good at it. He does, every announcer sort of has their signature thing. And I'm not saying this is Immelman's signature thing, but it could be. Where like Mike Breen, basketball, he does the bang. And Jim Nantz does Hello Friends. And I think it's Bill Rafferty does Onions during March Madness. Immelman will do, when someone's making a point or they make a good point, he does this. He goes, He does a little, he does it a lot during the broadcast. And I really like it. As opposed to coming up with something that is instead like you're just filling time. Somebody will say like, oh yeah, he's got a 7-iron here, and he's got a 7-iron here, and he's just gonna kind of curve it into the green. He'll go, and then the moment will just live. And I don't know if he's conscious of it, but I've noticed he does it, and it actually adds to it. Like I said, as opposed to somebody just talking during a shot, and you're like, yeah, let's get to it. He just goes,
That's our guy, man. You know, some people have Hello Friends, and he's got
Like somebody just made a good point. He goes,
It's like a little reassuring hum almost.
Yeah, I like it. I really like
me
it
too.
But
I wonder if he's aware of that, or if that's like a crutch, to him.
Well, if he sees this, I might have just ruined everything.
Probably going to be pretty aware of it. Yeah, I love Trevor. He's doing great in there. What an absolute legend. Fore-play is sponsored by BetterHelp. We often hear about the red flags we should avoid, but what if we focused more on looking for green flags in friends and in partners? If you're not sure what they look like, therapy can help you identify green flags, actively practice them in your relationships, and embody the green flag energy yourself. Whether you're dating, married, building a friendship, or just working on yourself, it's time to form relationships that love you back. We work on our golf swing, we work on our bodies. You got to work on your mind as well, Trent.
Yeah, therapy can only help. It can't be a good thing. It can't be a good thing to keep everything bottled up and just keeping it to yourself and not talking and not getting it out there. Just talking to somebody about what you did today or what you thought or what was going on, like that can just help. Anytime I talk to somebody, just even on the phone, and it just feels better to talk it out as opposed to keeping it all in. And BetterHelp can help. With the therapy that they provide, you can just sort of vent, I suppose is one word to say it, and you're going to immediately feel better. It's a tough world out there. It's a scary world out there. It's a stressful world out there. You got to talk to somebody, and BetterHelp is there for you.
It's a great point. Just chatting on the phone with your parents, with family, with friends, whatever, you always feel way, way better afterwards. And so obviously if you think about BetterHelp, if you think about therapy, it's going to go a really long way. BetterHelp is fully online, making therapy affordable and convenient, serving over 5 million people worldwide. You can access a diverse network of more than 30,000 credentialed therapists with a wide range of specialties. Discover your relationship green flags with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/fore, F-O-R-E, today to get 10% off of your first month. That is BetterHelp, HELP.com/fore, BetterHelp.com/fore. This episode is brought to you by Body Armor Zero Sugar, the brand new Zero Sugar sports drink from our great friends at Body Armor. What this does right here is provides real hydration with no artificial sweeteners, flavors, or dyes. Whether you're looking to stay hydrated, recovering from a long weekend, Body Armor Zero Sugar has got you covered with great tasting flavors like fruit punch and lemon lime. These are absolutely huge for me. Trying to live out here in the desert, as you know, it could get dry. Like to have a couple beverages, play a little bit of golf. We're still trying to recover from WM Phoenix Open week. This has been massive in getting your boy here rehydrated with the Body Armor Zero Sugar.
Yeah, it's great stuff. I'm a huge lemon lime guy. Stock the fridge with them. And yeah, in Florida, it's been on average 85 degrees here, hot, a little humid. I sweat a lot. I'm a bigger guy. I sweat a ton, and I need that Body Armor to replenish, to hydrate myself. And yeah, I crack open a Body Armor Zero Sugar, and boom, I feel way, way better. And they're delicious. That fruit punch you have is really good. And like I said, lemon lime is my go-to flavor for Body Armor. It's just a great company. It's a great drink.
Yeah, I'm looking right on here. It says even on the copy, but it's zero sugar. We got electrolytes, potassium, antioxidants, vitamins A, C, and E, B vitamins. I'm looking at B3, B5, B6, B9. Very nice. B12, It's delicious. This thing's great. So yeah, I've really noticed a huge help. A lot of times after maybe a little Saturday, had a aggressive Saturday, you wake up in the morning. Yeah, I like to get a coffee, drink some water. We get one of these in there and bang, you feel replenished. It's huge. So get yours today. This is the Body Armor Zero Sugar. Get yours today at Walmart or a local grocery store near you. That is Body Armor Zero Sugar. Check it out, Walmart or a local grocery store near you. Happy birthday to George Washington. First president of the United States. Yep. President's Day today. George Washington's birthday is actually February 22nd, 1732. They changed it to the third Monday in February to give all federal employees a 3-day weekend. And then it happens to come around the same time, of course, as Abraham Lincoln's birthday, which was February 12th. He was born in 1809. So big shout out to all of our presidents. It's President's Day as we're recording this. Yeah. And a particular special happy birthday to a couple of the Mount Rushmore boys. We got George Washington and Abraham Lincoln.
Wow, very nice. Yeah, President's Day. Did you happen to watch SNL 50 over the weekend?
I saw a bunch of the social stuff, but I did not watch it in real time. But I know you had a couple things you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. SNL has taken a beating over the last 10, 15, maybe 20 years, just because once the internet came around, the internet's so fast, and big part of SNL is topical things. Something happens during the week, and then bang, on Saturday night, they're parroting it, they're lampooning it, whatever. When the internet came around, everything happened so fast that as soon as an event happens, it's being dissected, jokes are being made on Twitter, and within, 3 hours, every joke that has been made, will be made, has been made. And it's just, you beat it into the ground, and then boom, the next day you're on to the next thing. So SNL has been in a weird spot with that ever since the internet came around. But I thought last night was cool. SNL 50, they brought out a ton of the stars. Some of the sketches worked, some of them didn't. But that, as a guy who grew up watching SNL, that was like, I love that show growing up. Like Farley, Chris Rock, David Spade, Rob Schneider, like those, everybody who grew up when SNL was really a part of the zeitgeist has their people. And those were my guys when I was growing up in the 90s. And it was fun watching SNL I wish it were still a relevant medium. And I don't know if they can get back to that. I don't know how they do it, but it's weird to me watching SNL now. And I don't know any of the cast members. I don't know what's going on. Like, I know Lorne Michaels is still there, but if you told me to name 3 cast members, I would struggle to name one. Yeah, and watching it last night, I miss sketch comedy like that being relevant on a week-to-week basis, because it was really fun. I mean, they brought back Eddie Murphy was there, who was great. They brought back Will Ferrell, like all the people who were relevant. Eddie Murphy was before me, but certainly Will Ferrell. All the people who were like a part of my childhood and made me really love sketch comedy were a part of it. And it excited me, but it also made me sad that is sort of an irrelevant medium in its current form. I wish they could get back to it being cutting edge every single Saturday, or must see every single Saturday, but it was fun watching it last night. I really, really had a good time.
I loved a lot of the clips. I saw Jack Nicholson made an appearance. He hadn't been seen, I don't think they were saying, like in a long time out there. Yeah. So it was nice seeing him and a bunch of the folks. SNL is great because it was such a all of the clips now are such throwbacks to the beginnings of basically everybody who became a huge comedy, movie, TV, or like movie megastar was
100%.
Right? And so it was like you could go back to the original SNL stuff, and it was such a cool glimpse at like how they cut their teeth, how like the sausage was originally made for them, was that they were just chopping it up on SNL, doing the sketch comedy, and then all of a sudden you're like, dude, that's the fucking guy that led to this gigantic movie franchise who became one of the, biggest comedy movie stars on planet Earth. And look at them as like kids up there, literally not even able to hold themselves from cackling at each other because they're so good at this sketch comedy. That was like, I remember that in the 90s and even early, it was like, that was SNL. And you're right. It was like, even from the clips I saw on social of like, oh shit, look at the crew they got out there. It was like, it was a nice little blast from the past.
Part of the fun of SNL was watching like a new-ish cast and being like, who's that guy? And it was at that, like for my childhood, it was Chris Farley. And it was like, it was so clear who was going to be the star. Like everybody was great. Like there's all different types of players on that show. But like when a Farley would show up, or even a Sandler, and certainly a Will Ferrell, you just knew. It was so fun watching, like you're saying, somebody develop and mature. And then, I mean, Will Ferrell became the run of movies that he had in the early 2000s, mid 2000s is the foundation, the bedrock of my comedy knowledge. Like I quote those movies all the time, but there was a time when you would just see Will Ferrell on SNL and it was so clear that he was going to be a star. And you're like, yeah, that's so fun. Cause it's Lorne Michaels and the writers at SNL just discovering these people. Like that was part of the fun. Like people didn't know who Will Ferrell was before SNL. And then he gets cast and all of a sudden he becomes, it's like, holy shit, this is the funniest guy on planet Earth. And that was so fun. And the internet does it now at a very, it's a sped up way. And like, obviously Dave has talked a lot about SNL and been like, we're kind of like the SNL of the internet, where the people that come out of here are stars, the Coopers and the McAfees and the, like, it's become sped up and the format is definitely different. But I just remember as a kid being like, it's really fun watching a sketch do really well and just being like, that's the next comedy star.
It's almost like, dude, it's like they all used to go through, it's like all your favorite athletes used to have to come up through college. It's like watching Peyton Manning's college clips, and being like, holy shit, he was going to turn into Peyton Manning. And then nowadays they all just skip college and it's like they all just kind of go straight to the pros. Right. You don't have that where you're like, dude, I want to look at the unbelievable clips of this youngster in like a college uniform out there playing for the Volunteers, like going crazy. And you don't really have that. Whereas SNL, you had that. It was like they all came up through SNL, and watching them as legitimate kids that were just sitting in rooms, like writing, making basically no money, kind of becoming like crazy famous in real time was awesome. And yeah, like I said, a lot of the clips that I saw, it was very cool to see a bunch of the names, see how everybody's looking, see everybody up there laughing together. I'll have to throw the whole thing on and watch it because yeah, SNL, it was like we were, God, I'm born in 87. So it was like, mid, late 90s when I was really like cranking through some TV finally and like turning into a teenager. And there was no internet really yet. Like there was no streaming. There was none of that stuff. And it was like SNL was the thing.
It was the only way for a voice like that to come through. The internet, everybody can do anything. Everybody's got a phone. You can upload any video you want and it can go viral on TikTok. Back then, SNL was the only way. I was obsessed with Chris Farley. He was my guy for so long. I've actually got a Matt Foley Funko Pop up there on my shelf. It's like, it was so, and then he makes Tommy Boy, he makes Black Sheep, he becomes very famous. And it was just it was really fun to watch. So last night was really cool to see some of the older guys back on that stage.
Alex Bush, how are you doing? I know you've had a hell of a couple of days right now. I just want to weigh in on your mental state with, this podcast is quite famous for discussing travel woes. I think Alex Bush is stranded right now in the great state of Florida.
Is he really? I have no idea what this is.
Yeah. Sorry. I think I came up with something this morning, so voice sounds a little fucked, but yeah, we went to my girlfriend's friend's wedding this weekend. Yesterday, got stranded in Florida. So I'm in my parents in Naples in my dad's office right now, and hopefully getting out tonight. So we'll see.
Not the worst place to get stranded. Florida. I'm in Florida. I'm stranded in Florida. I live here. I'm stranded.
It could be worse, but we were flying out of Lauderdale. All the flights to LaGuardia pretty much got canceled, and all the flights tomorrow were all $1,500. So we rented a car, drove across the state to my parents in Naples, and we're flying out tonight. So it's kind of a shit show. But
wait, what's happening? Why stuff was canceled?
So yesterday there was a bunch of wind and fog, and I guess just because LaGuardia is on the water and it's a small, runway and stuff, it's like impossible to land there. So they had like a ground stoppage pretty much on and off almost all day. So I think only one flight out of LaGuardia out of like 5 or 6 all day actually took off.
I did that. I've done that drive across the state of Florida a couple times last year, 2 years ago. I did it. We were doing Players that we filmed
through Alligator Alley.
Yeah, there's a lot of.
I drove
all that state. A lot of.
After we filmed with Gruden the first time, I drove from Tampa back to Jupiter, and that was not the most fun drive of my life. There's like no major, unless I just missed it, which is definitely possible. And there's no major highway that just shoots you across. You're on back roads the whole time. You're on these weird Florida farms. It's a very strange state to drive through in that way.
It's like
Yeah,
going
the
to
middle,
Stream Song.
there's nothing. There's nothing.
You know,
and
that
it's,
drive to Stream Song, similar. You kind of drive by a bunch of nothing for like an hour and a half, and then all of a sudden you're there.
Yeah.
Well, safe travels, Bushman. Hopefully it pans out for you. You know, we're rooting for you.
Riggs, are you watching Severance?
I have not started Severance yet. Do I need to?
You have to. You have to.
Okay.
I know you're a Silo guy, and I think that's on Apple as well. So is Severance. It's an amazing show. It's something I got into. So the first season aired a couple years ago, and then I guess there was like a 2-year break, and the second season is currently airing. They drop a new episode every Friday. So I just started watching Severance like a couple weeks ago, banged through the whole first season. I wish I could explain it to you. I'm going to fuck it up. It's such a good show. It's basically like work-life balance to the extreme. And that's kind of all I'll give you. And it's sci-fi. It's weird. I couldn't recommend it enough. It's the show I'm currently obsessed with. I told myself when I was watching it, I wasn't going to do all right, I'm going to read every single Reddit theory, because I kind of just wanted the show to play out in a way where I was surprised every week. Because if you start reading Reddit theories, eventually somebody's going to be right. There's so many of them. People are taking so many shots. There's so many theories. What's happening here? What's this all about? That eventually you're just going to get the answer, and then you're going to watch it play out on the show. I held strong for the first season. I am now up to my eyeballs in Severance Reddit theories. I couldn't resist. It's such a weird fucking show in a good way, and it's shot so well. Ben Stiller's the director. The acting is so good and the concept is so good that I just needed to fill my brain with ideas of what could possibly be happening, because there's so much that happens, but there's also so little answers to the questions that get asked that I've now just filled my brain with it. But I can't recommend enough. It's such a good show.
When you read Reddit theories about shows or movies, do you find yourself sitting there believing that your brain observes like 1/1,000,000th of what other people's brains observe?
It's a good question. What I've learned reading all these Reddit theories and watching Severance is that I don't watch TV shows in the way that people watch TV shows, or in the way that the like top percent of people watch TV shows. I bet people watch TV shows like I watch TV shows. I'm just sort of like, oh, there's the action. Oh, there's a sex scene. Oh, there's a comedy scene. Oh, that's. I'm just I got the bullet points of like genres and themes. I'm pretty set on that. But people they'll take screenshots of the way that a certain scene was shot, and there'll be a visual aid of what's happening. And that to me, like, I think you think you got to go to college to be able to dissect themes and plot points in that way. So to answer your question, I don't think I watch it in the way that these people who come up with the best Reddit theories watch these shows.
Yeah, I feel like when I read this stuff, like I'm the only one in the room that doesn't have a brain. Like I'm reading this stuff, and you're like, all that was going on in that show. That's the same show you watch? I watched the same show. It's like, I know there's like a protagonist and an antagonist, and that like there was kind of a crescendo, and like I know that was awesome, but I don't. Dude, people are like taking screenshots of the family crest that was on this person's like armor, and how that alludes to like how things are repeating themselves. So of course the theory that's going to occur is the one that is closest to this mirroring that. You're like, what are you talking about?
Right. So
and I was watching them eat fucking noodle soup, and then they attacked each other. That was the whole show. That was actually the whole show.
Right. I'll give you an example. And this isn't a spoiler. I won't name any names. It's not a spoiler anyway. So in Severance, in the last episode, there's these two characters standing in an elevator, and they're having a confrontation. And in between them on the wall they're in an elevator. So there's a line of paneling in the elevator, just kind of how they put the elevator together, whatever. There's a line. And at one point, one of the characters steps towards the other character and says something to him pretty outrageous. And I was like, oh, it was a good scene. You know, they're almost nose to nose confrontationally. I was like, that was a great scene. And then I go on Reddit, and what they picked up was when the guy steps forward, he crosses that line, and now he has crossed the line, and he says something outrageous that's a bit out of character. And I was like, that's fucking unbelievable. And that to me is probably the simplest representation of the guy. Literally, he stepped across a literal line and did something out of character where I probably should have picked up on it. Did I? Absolutely not.
Not even
So
close.
I don't watch these shows in the same way that these people do. I'm glad that Reddit exists for that reason.
Wow. That's exactly what I'm talking about, man. I wouldn't have thought the same thing. I can't believe he said that in that elevator. That's crazy. That's all I would have thought. I wouldn't have seen lines. I wouldn't have seen metaphors. Nope. I wouldn't have seen shit. I just would have turned that thing off. I would have gone and gotten some ice cream, gone to bed. I would have never thought about it ever again. That's incredible.
Yeah. No, it's a great show. I highly recommend it. It's a mind fuck for sure, but in a good way.
I got to watch this show. We're going to do a little from the gallery. We're going to take some voicemails. We got a phone number for that. So if you would like to leave a voicemail, people have been leaving great voicemails. We're very appreciative. 646-685-4717. You call that number, have something ready to rock, and leave a little voicemail. From the gallery is brought to you by Truly Unruly, which is the first high ABV hard seltzer that actually tastes good. Truly Unruly is a hard seltzer that breaks all the rules, drinks light, parties hard. With 8% ABV, it hits hard but still tastes amazing. Comes in 4 fresh flavors: tropical twist, berry blast, citrus crush, and strawberry smash. They're fantastic. People are loving them at the Barstool Classic Championship. It's the official hard seltzer of fore-play. Find Truly Unruly at a store near you, or just visit www.trulyhardseltzer.com. That is trulyhardseltzer.com. Truly Unruly presents From the Gallery, and that number is 646-685-4717. We got some voicemails there, Bushman.
What's up, boys? Connor from Chicago here. Been a fan of the show for a long time. You guys do a great job. Something that's been kind of bothering me lately, and honestly all throughout last season, anytime Scotty or anyone on the PGA Tour won, the Instagram comment section was always filled with, oh, there's an asterisk. Oh, it's invalid because the guys went to LIV. And I'm just wondering, why are we acting like anyone with the exception of Rahm, Neiman, Bryson can sniff these guys' shots? I mean, let's not act like Scotty would have a hard time being Ian Poulter here. You know what I'm saying? One of the last 8 major winners in the last 2 years came from LIV. You count John Rahm, but he wasn't on LIV yet. I just don't think it's fair to quite invalidate these guys' success, especially Scotty. Say, well, he only had the historic year he had because these guys left. Only a couple of the really big fish left, and sure, maybe he would have lost to them a few times. I just don't think it's really valid to say, like, all that as an asterisk next to it, guys. So I was wondering what you guys thought on that. Peace and love. See you guys later.
Oh, peace and love from Chicago. What was his name? Ty? I couldn't get that. It was a little bit of a mumble there. But thank you for the call from Chicago. Connor. Ty. I was all over that one. Connor from Chicago. Big thank you for the call. I don't put a ton of stock in Instagram comments. You know, it's something that I've really, over the last couple of years of my life, I wouldn't use that as a barometer for a lot of things in this life. Having said that, you know, it's a little bit tricky for sure. I understand kind of what people are saying, but it does kind of go, I think he kind of got to the point that I'm going to make, that Kiz was making last week, which is, it ain't like that, you know, LIV is full of, you know, they don't have 25 players that are on a list of like, wow, you can't really hold a great event and see who the best of the best is without them. They definitely have some, so you could throw a little bit of like what if type scenario out there on the Scotty thing. You could throw a what if on if Rahm was around. You know, hell, Rahm's won quite a bit over the last 3 or 4 years on the PGA Tour. So if he was around, would Scotty have won 9 times last year? You know, you could do it with Bryson. Bryson obviously won a major championship last year. He almost won the PGA championship last year. So you could do it with a couple players, but I don't think it's asterisk worthy at all. I wouldn't even really consider that going that far with it. It's worth a little bit of a conversation, but I think it's, you know, like most Instagram comments, I would just kind of brush those bad boys off and not worry about it.
There's also something to be said for Scotty can only play the people that are on his tour. Like, it's certainly not going to be an asterisk. Like normally the people who say, oh, a Scotty win should have an asterisk, it feels like they're arguing for the LIV side, but it's like those guys left willingly. Like, that's not right. Scotty's just going to beat people who he goes up against and who happen to be on his tour. It's not his fault that Rahm left or that Bryson left, or those guys willingly chose to go to a different tour, and these are the fields, and he's going to beat them. And I would argue, sort of what Riggs is saying, I think he's probably going to win about that number anyway, because his ball striking was out of this world. His putting got way better. He was just the best golfer on planet Earth, and he was going to run into a bunch of wins playing in that way. But I always find it strange where it's like, should we put an asterisk here? But like an asterisk to me is the guy who was doing the winning did something wrong. Like when Barry Bonds was hitting all those home runs, people were like, should there be an asterisk? Because we think, or we pretty much know that he took these steroids. It's not Scotty's fault that these other guys left the tour. He's just going to win these events against the fields that are there.
Yep, agree with that. And I'm looking right now on Data Golf. Data Golf, they do a rankings that, is not, it's basically if one could come up with as objective of a world rankings as you could, which hopefully Emmelman and the OWGR will come up with eventually, this is kind of what it would be. They factor everything in, and they try to rank every player, not just PGA Tour players, as best as they possibly can. I mean, they've got John Rahm as number 4 in the world. They've got Tyrrell Hatton as number 7 in the world. They've got Bryson as number 12 in the world, and they've got Joaquim as number 13 in the world. Outside of those 4, I don't believe there's another LIV player inside the top 30. So you're talking about 4 guys out of the top 30, 32, 33 in the world. And so, and it's not like they're winning every major. They definitely have competed. They've won a couple here and there over the last 2-3 years. But like you said, Trent, I mean, they all willfully kind of left. It's not like there's some. It's not like during COVID when like Novak Djokovic was like not allowed into Australia because he wasn't vaccinated, and then you could kind of be like, there's a little bit of an asterisk. Like one of the best players just wasn't allowed to be there. They're not really not allowed. They kind of chose to go to a different league for a bunch of money, and those that are remaining are still, everybody agrees, I think, by far the best place to play golf against the best players in the world. And if you want to give Data Golf, some credibility here, they back that up big time. It's 4 guys out of the, that are in the top 30. Again, going through the numbers really quickly, I could be off by 1 or 2, but I'm pretty sure that's what I see. That are on LIV. Otherwise, it starts to run pretty thin after that. So no asterisk for our boys.
Yeah, the other side, I guess, would argue like, well, these LIV golfers technically aren't allowed to participate in PGA Tour events, but they had those guys who went over certainly early had to know like, I'm going to do this and I'm probably going to be banned from the tour.
They knew. They 100% knew. So they were sort of like choosing, like, I'm not going to play on the PGA Tour because I'm going to play on LIV. Thank you for the call, Connor from Chicago.
We got another one?
What's going on, guys? Tim from Connecticut. I put this question in my group chat last summer and it got the boys going, so figured it'd be funny to share with you to see your take. So if you had 1 year from January 1st to December 31st, and you had to track if you made more pars or if you sneezed more times, what do you think would be a higher number at the end of the year? Love you guys. Appreciate it.
Well, for me, I think it sneezes in a landslide.
Do you sneeze a lot?
Good question.
And I'm not a huge, I'm not like a long, streaky sneezer. My buddy Mike I went to college with, like if he sneezed once, he would sneeze 15 times. Like he just couldn't stop. Every 5 to 7 seconds would be a huge sneeze and he just couldn't fucking stop. I'm like a 2 or 3 guy, but I'm thinking, dude, there's probably days where I'll go without a single sneeze,
It's a good point. It's actually funny. This is an appropriate voicemail because there has been a discussion amongst me and my siblings about whether or not we've ever seen our dad sneeze. And the answer appears to be like a pretty resounding no.
Wow.
So, but that goes to the point of
one instance where you're like, I watched Gary Ryan sneeze. You just can't think of it right now?
No, and it's such a specific thing, but it kind of goes to what you're saying where how often am I actually sneezing? Now, when I come down with a little bit of a bug, certainly that the numbers ramp up, but how often am I sneezing per week? It's got to be I would say it's under 10.
Yeah, me too. And I play a lot.
So
of
do
golf,
you think do you think you probably, you do play a ton and you play better golf than I do, so you probably make more pars than sneeze throughout a year.
I'm not on any given round. It's not like I'm making a ton of pars, but I think I play so much golf that it's, what I'm saying? It's just, I think it's gotta be pars. I don't know that that's the more common answer amongst weekend golfers around the country, but I think for me, I make more pars in a calendar year than I execute sneezes.
You're also in a situation where you can play golf all the time, year round, so you have more opportunities to make pars. And the people in the North and in the Midwest, there is a stretch of months where they can't play golf. And during those months, you're more liable to sneeze because you can catch a cold during those months.
So for most of those folks, Trent, we're talking sneezes is jumping out to a huge lead to begin the year, and then pars. You got to really play some solid golf in the early part of the summer to catch up. Otherwise, going into that fall, early winter season, you're not gonna be able to have a big enough lead with pars that you're gonna come charging back on the sneezes. I mean, around the holidays, people are sneezing all over the place. You're eating like shit. You're drinking football. It's cold all of a sudden. You're sneezing up a fucking storm in October, November, December.
I kind of want to try this. I kind of want to count.
Imagine logging your sneezes all year long.
I want to say right now, I'm going to try. I'm not going to promise that I'll do it, but I'm going to try to count my sneezes. Today is Monday, February 17th. So we missed a month and a half. But going forward for the rest of the year, and the pars that I made this year, which I haven't made that many anyway, probably almost zero. Going forward, not zero. I've made a few.
You've made plenty of pars. Come on.
I've made pars for sure. Because I'm in the same boat as you, where I've been playing a lot of golf down here because I'm luckily able to.
Snowbirds, baby.
That's right. Starting Monday, February 17th, 2025, from this day forward, I will try to count my number of sneezes and my number of pars.
I think yours is really close. Like if it was on the DraftKings Sportsbook app, I think yours is like minus 110 on both sides of it. I really do. Because I just feel like you could get, I mean, dude, you have a couple days of being sick, whatever it might be, allergies. Like you could rack up those sneezes like you wouldn't fucking believe.
I've just got to remember to count my sneezes. I'm a 2 sneeze guy. So when I'm, like you were saying, when I go, it's bang, bang. Sometimes a third, but pretty rare. I'm not one of those where once it starts, the ball starts rolling down the hill and I'm at 13 and there's no sign of stopping. I'm a 2.
Do you like sneezing? Are you like a, yeah, me too. I love sneezing.
I get a little,
I think it's great.
There's got to be something that like peaks in my brain where I'm like, that felt good.
Yeah, there's like a little bit of a sickness to it of like the satisfaction. You're like, oh yeah, that felt good.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to try. I can't make any promises, but I'm going to at least try, and I'll update as we go if I remember.
Could you like remember the last time that you sneezed?
No.
I don't know if I could either. I want to think I sneezed on Saturday. I'm pretty sure I sneezed. I have like a recollection of me sneezing on Saturday, but it's just a non-memorable thing. But I want to say I remember it being in a social setting. And when you're in a social setting, you do have to be conscious of like, what kind of sneeze is coming up here? Like, is this going to be a scene? Is this going to be loud? Is this going to be like, is this going to have some mucus come out potentially? I gotta be ready to rock here.
What is the sneeze if not part of like a sickness? If I'm sneezing, like if I sneeze today, I feel fine. I'm not sick. I don't have a bug. If I were to sneeze today, what would bring that about? Is there pepper around?
I'm going to guess, yeah, similar to a pepper effect. I'm going to guess it's like some sort of like foreign substance that enters this little filtration system in your nose and your body rejects it. That's sort of my best guess. Okay.
I'm going to try to count. I'm just going to try.
That's great. I think you're going to make more pars than sneezes. I think you being a 2 sneeze guy is huge. You can't get these big strings of like 7 or 8. So I think you're going to have more pars. I really do.
Like, let's look here. Let me see if I can pull up my Gin app here quickly. I just want to look at my last round of golf and see how many pars I made. Played Turtle Creek. I made 2 pars. I made 2. I made 2. So that's 1 sneeze fit for me. Bang, bang. But now we're even.
But I think that's low for you. I think you make more than 2 pars per round of golf.
I made a lot of bogeys in that round, so I was close.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to count and I'll try. I will update if I keep it going.
I love it. We got a lot of TGL today. I know we haven't. When the show comes out, there will have been a triple header. We're recording it just before that, so if anything crazy notable occurs, we'll talk about it. We could throw a little thing together, but we'll most likely just talk about it on Thursday's show. But we got a lot of TGL action going on. Tigers playing Tuesday night. Everybody's kind of playing Monday. So yeah, enjoyed TGL. I don't know if you got anything else. I don't know if Bushman has anything else, but that's a solid
SNL
show
50,
right there.
Severance.
I got to watch Severance. I got to throw that on.
Yeah, give it a run. It's unlike any show I've ever seen before.
I like it.
No, I got nothing else.
All right, way to go, Ludvig. He's inevitable, as we said, and nice to see Tiger Woods. We'll have Frankie back, I believe, for the Thursday show, so we can get a full breakdown on his little London trip. and we can react to whatever happened in the GGL. Otherwise, everybody have a lovely week. Hit it hard.
Hit it hard.